$15 million for one fight, it's crazy because what's going to happen after this fight, right? Is the $15 million worth having Conor Benn? It's the first time I've heard of him. From what everybody tells me, he's a very good boxer. But is Khamzat Chimaev making $15 million? Is Ilia Topuria making $15 million? Merab Dvalishvili making $15?
It's crazy how you just put in so much work in the UFC, put in so much work in the UFC, build this name, create this character, be this star, you know, and it's like, I'm not making a $15 million fight.
I mean, if you're a UFC fighter, you're looking at this Zuffa going, what the f? I'm being absolutely ripped off here. I'm generating more revenue than these guys, and I'm getting a tenth of the money. But listen, there's no loyalty in that game. Look at Aspinall. When he gets his eyes gouged out and he just gets humiliated by UFC and basically told everyone he's a liar and he's a
It started with a brutal line making the rounds in boxing circles as several pros went off, and one even labeled Dana White a bum over the shocking $15 million offer handed to Conor Benn. The backlash was loud, emotional, and impossible to ignore. Fighters and promoters alike began questioning how a boxer walking into a new promotional setup could command that kind of money in a single fight deal.
And I just felt that I never really needed to push Conor Benn to sign a new contract previously, and I probably could have got him to sign a new contract previously.
You stole that shit. That's what I do, nigga.
The storm began after Benn agreed to a one-fight deal with Zuffa Boxing, reportedly worth at least $15 million, roughly 10 million pounds. The move came right after he parted ways with longtime promoter Eddie Hearn. For many in combat sports, the figure alone was enough to spark outrage, especially among UFC fighters who have spent years building their names.
It's a rough look because I would have to think you could count on your hands the amount of times a UFC fighter has been paid that for one fight. Probably has only happened, you know, maybe 5 times or so in UFC history, and the amount of fighters was probably only Conor McGregor and a couple other ones, John Jones. So what do you think of a boxer who is not a world champion? He's not a huge name. He's not top 10 pound for pound being signed for $15 million by Zuffa Boxing.
You know, the interesting thing about this is that when you look at the aspect of, okay, let's talk about just the boxing aspect of it, right? So in boxing, there's more players who can lobby for the fighters, right? Meaning that Matchroom, from what Dana White said, you can clip it or quote me, Dana White said that Matchroom Boxing had the opportunity to match the $15 million, but they didn't.
One of the loudest reactions came from Sean O'Malley. The former bantamweight world champion admitted he struggled to believe the reports. From his perspective, it made little sense that someone he had barely heard of could receive such a massive payout. He questioned how Zuffa Boxing could justify paying $15 million for a single appearance, especially when established UFC stars do not make that amount per fight.
It's crazy how you just put in so much work in the UFC, put in so much work in the UFC, build this name, create this character, be this star, you know, and it's like, I'm not making $15 million fight. Is that, it's, for me, it's so hard to believe just cause, like, I did see it, I heard it, I've been told, Tim told me, do you see that? I'm like, that doesn't mean it's true. I don't know, it could very well be true. I can't imagine it being true. Zuffa Boxing, it's like, they're paying out. I don't even know who Conor Benn is.
O'Malley's frustration reflected a deeper issue. He pointed out the years of effort required to build a brand inside the UFC, creating a persona, gaining followers, and delivering performances. Yet even after all that work, he was not earning $15 million per bout. For him, the situation felt upside down. A boxer crossing into a new structure was reportedly earning more than seasoned UFC champions.
I don't know.
He like supposedly is a pretty big name in boxing. I never heard of him. Yeah, they really paid this Ben Johns?
Conor
Ben. Whatever.
Conor Benn.
If they really, Ben Jones used to be a UFC fighter. They really paid him $15 million. It's like,
I wouldn't blame you for going to box.
Yeah, it's crazy how you just put in so much work in the UFC, put in so much work in the UFC, build this name, create this character, be this star, you know, and it's like, I'm not making a $15 million fight.
Yeah.
But it's also a business. If they think that's a good business move and that guy's going to bring in money, it's like, I get it. I don't take anything personal in business. Business is business.
As that criticism gained traction, Hearn responded in his own way. Speaking publicly, he acknowledged that losing Benn was painful. He admitted he had not spoken to White for a couple of weeks, though there had been a brief exchange of texts. Despite the tension, Hearn seemed ready for what he described as a long and difficult battle.
But Eddie Hearn works for his dad. He works for Dad.
And when he says I work for my dad, I do work for my dad. But he's worked for his dad for many years. The Fertitta brothers, they were his dad. Now he's got a new pappy. And the new pappy is Turki Al-Sheikh.
I don't think anybody looks at Eddie Hearn and says, oh, this guy's a visionary. You ended up becoming part of the problem. They can't compete because they don't know how to compete. There's no vision there.
I was surprised that he said that we lack vision. Because at the moment, what vision is Zuffa showing? Zuffa are a million miles away in terms of the quality that we're producing, but it's going to be Eddie v Dana.
Hearn framed the rivalry as something almost personal but also professional. He warned that Benn had now aligned himself with what he described as ruthless operators. In his view, the people behind Zuffa Boxing were powerful and strictly business-minded. To strengthen his point, Hearn brought up the treatment of Tom Aspinall. He referenced a moment when Aspinall suffered a severe eye injury during a fight and suggested that White had not shown enough support afterward.
I mean, if you're a UFC fighter, you're looking at this Zuffa going, what the fuck? I'm being absolutely ripped off here. I'm generating more revenue than these guys and I'm getting a tenth of the money. But listen, there's no loyalty in that game. Look at Aspinall. When he gets his eyes gouged out and he just gets humiliated by UFC and basically told everyone he's a liar and this is a cutthroat business, but everyone's different. Listen, I'm not going to change the person I am. I'm not going to change my loyalty towards my fighters and the fact that I will stand with you, like I said, on the heel dime, because I believed Conor Benn. And I did that because I felt it was right to do what I did. And everyone said to me at the time, mate, drop it out, just leave it. I said, no, I'm going to stand with it.
From Hearn's perspective, Benn might eventually realize that the culture under White would be very different. He insisted that he would never have treated Benn in such a way. He emphasized that his passion for boxing separated him from what he saw as a more corporate approach across the aisle.
He works hard. But when you look at Dana White, he's got Donald Trump on speed dial, for fuck's sake. He's in with Turki Al-Sheikh. There's a guy called Nick Khan who's well connected. They might be putting a show on at the White House. So there's levels to the game and levels to the world.
The reaction did not stop there. Barry Hearn also broke his silence and admitted he was deeply disappointed by how the split unfolded. For him, this was not just another contract ending. He described Benn as someone who had become almost part of the family after a decade of shared experiences.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Boxers do come and go, but this wasn't the average relationship with a contracted boxer. This was special. Conor was as close as he could have been to being part of the family, and after 10 years of what we've gone through with him, I think in my 50-odd years of promoting sport, this is the most horrible, outrageous. I can't describe the feeling of when you've been let down. I didn't think he was that type of boy. I mean, look, maybe we got it wrong with Conor.
Barry reflected on the difficult moments they had endured together, suggesting that the relationship went far beyond business. He also acknowledged the financial side. Benn had clearly received a huge offer from White and his team, backed by serious investment power. With figures like Turki Al-Sheikh supporting major boxing events financially, the new promotion had the resources to sign fighters aggressively. Still, Barry questioned whether money alone justified breaking apart a team that had helped build Benn's career.
Maybe we took his side and we believed everything he said, and maybe we were wrong. I hope not. But, you know, it is personally disappointing because it goes beyond money. I mean, look, he's obviously received a huge offer from Dana White and his team, but it doesn't mean to say you disband the team. The team that built Conor Benn is in place, and each one of those team would have taken a bullet for him at ringside. And you don't often get that in life and then react like this. It's deeply upsetting. It's a classless way of doing it when you've got an open relationship. This was in the heart. This was in the heart, and I expected so much more from Conor Benn.
Not everyone sided with the Hearns. Simon Jordan offered a more critical take on Eddie's handling of the situation. He argued that if a promoter considers himself elite, he must secure his top talent with strong contracts. In Jordan's eyes, failing to extend Benn's deal was a costly mistake.
The reasons why they stuck with Conor Benn, insofar as they did, was because there was a huge commercial opportunity by Conor Benn. It wasn't out of the goodness of their hearts. It wasn't a case of a charity case. Eddie might at the time, I remember talking to Eddie, didn't lend him any money. No, I didn't lend him any money. Now we find out he did lend him some money. At the time, he didn't have a contract with Conor Benn, told me he didn't need to have a contract with Conor Benn. The fact is that things changed. I'm sure there were plenty of fighters at Matchroom that were very unhappy when Matchroom decided to pick up and leave Sky and move over to DAZN and do precisely what was best for Matchroom. Conor Benn has made some comments in the past where he gets hoisted by his own petard here because he suggests that he has an undying loyalty to Matchroom and he respects the commitment they put in behind him and never wants to leave them. So he makes himself look slightly ridiculous there. But watching it, people will think it's formulaic.
Jordan pointed out that Ben had every right to sign elsewhere once his contract expired. He reminded listeners that boxing is business. Just as promoters move platforms when it benefits them, fighters can do the same. He also dismissed the outrage about loyalty, suggesting such reactions often ignore the realities of the sport.
For me to have a go at Eddie Hearn, I'm not having a go at Eddie Hearn, I'm compartmentalising this into language that isn't emotive. There is no obligation upon Conor Benn to stay with Matchroom in perpetuity. One of the things I made a point with Eddie when we had that argument 2 or 3 years ago, of which 90% of what I said was right, and Eddie was just trying to confuse it around the fact that I don't know as much about boxing as he does, that contracts need to be done in a blue chip way. If you're a blue chip promoter, you should have a blue chip contract. And at the time, it was an argument about promoting, i.e. he would still have to promote Conor Benn if Conor Benn did something horrendous, which at the time was fairly and he still had an obligation to promote him. I would suggest one of the main component parts of being a blue chip promoter is to secure your talent.
Amid the noise, Ben himself had previously spoken about wanting to maintain his relationship with Matchroom and with Eddie Hearn and Frank Smith. He made it clear that his decisions would focus on securing the best future for his family. In his mind, career moves must be judged by long-term impact rather than short-term emotions. Yet despite those sentiments, the lucrative one-fight deal with Zuffa Boxing changed the entire landscape.
You want to make sure the best decision you make is a decision you made for the best interest of your kids. That's your legacy. Your legacy is your kids. And when I look back in 10, 15 years time and go, I made the right decision for my kids and my family. Yes, I do. And I'm stand on that. That's my job, is to give my kids a better life than I had, which was a pretty good life. To open doors for my kids, to, I want my kids to be sweet. Another Conor Benn will come along. Another fighter will come along. Ultimately, in 15 years' time, when I'm done and retired.
While the promotional drama unfolded, Ben's in-ring future also sparked debate. He recently made a surprising shift in his stance regarding a potential trilogy with Chris Eubank Jr. After earlier hesitation, Ben admitted he would consider fighting Eubank again, even at super middleweight.
When I fight him at super middleweight, part of me's like, do you know what? The first fight for me wasn't who I am or the sort of fighter I am. So for me, it was like, do you know what? Would I fight Eubank at his weight, at a weight he's comfortable and has no excuses? Yeah, I would. Thinking about it, I would fight him at 168. I would. Again, not for anything else other than to beat him so convincingly again, because I'm just a better boxer. I just have better ring IQ. I'm just faster. I'm just more agile. I just punch harder. I have better endurance. I have every sector. I'm better than him.
Eubank had indicated he would move back up to 168 pounds after struggling with a 160-pound limit and a strict rehydration clause. Ben, eager to remove any doubt about his superiority, suggested he would take the fight at Eubank's preferred weight. He believes he's the better boxer across every category, from speed to ring IQ to endurance.
That would be a point I'd want to prove to not to myself, like, I know I beat him. The first fight was what the first fight was, and I'm glad it got fight of the year and was what it was. But it's just something personal with me and Chris, and there will always just be something there. I respect him. I respect Chris. I respect him. I don't mean I have to like you. You have to like someone you respect. I respect him because being in this game is hard, and also being a legend son is hard, but ultimately we did it. We do it.
Even so, Ben spoke with respect about his rival, acknowledging the personal rivalry while still recognizing Eubank's qualities. A third fight remains possible, though for now it sits behind the bigger promotional storyline. Ben also addressed speculation about facing Manny Pacquiao. Rather than chase that opportunity, he made it clear he didn't want to fight a legend nearing the end of his career. After seeing Pacquiao's recent performances, Ben suggested it would be better for the veteran to step away with his legacy intact.
All it is, he's an OAP. So for me to, he's just a bit old, isn't he?
Well,
You know,
I suppose the same applies for Floyd Mayweather, who said he's coming back.
Yeah, he's just a bit old, and I just feel like I would hate to see him back in the ring. You got to think that for me, the time I was calling him out when I was in Saudi and we were supposed to fight, I wasn't where I am now at this stage in my career, but also he hadn't fought Barrios yet. So after seeing how he looks against Barrios, he's a legend and should call it a day.
So what you're saying is you respect your elders too much?
Well, not really, but he's a legend.
Looking ahead, Zuffa Boxing is reportedly planning a UK event on May 31st, with Ben as the headline act. Potential opponents include WBO super lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson and WBC welterweight titleist Ryan Garcia. Stevenson is currently a free agent, while Garcia has claimed his deal with Golden Boy ended following his dominant win over Barrios.
Conor Benn against Ryan Garcia, I think Conor Benn gets absolutely splattered. I've got to be honest, I don't think he's got a chance. He's not there yet. And I've said it before, and he gets the ump with me for saying it. But who's he beat? What's he done? Who's his biggest win?
Chris Eubank.
Yeah, but... And who's the other kid he beat? Was it Algeria?
Yeah, but he was 43.
Eubank, you can't say that's a big win. This guy finished Eubank years ago. And Eubank lost a couple of fights. He got battered by Liam Smith. And that's a level. It's like... What's Eubank done to warrant Conor Benn saying, I'm ready for world titles like this against this guy? I know he's just now become a new world champion and it'd be a good fight, but for me, I just think Ryan Garcia runs rings around him. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but I think that's a bad fight for Conor Benn.
Those possibilities only add to the intrigue. A Benn bout against either Stevenson or Garcia would draw massive attention, especially under the Zuffa banner. It would also test whether the reported $15 million investment can generate the expected return.
One that probably will be happening, because if they're signing up Conor Benn with so much money that they're talking, they're going to want him to fight somebody. It's going to be him or Shakur Stevenson. Either of them fights are dangerous for Benn. This could be careful what you wish for Conor Benn. He's signed into a big deal. We'll probably talk about that in a minute. How do you think Conor Benn gets on with Ryan Garcia? I'd be interested to know your...
Bearing in mind that Conor has constantly said recently that the WBC belt is all he's ever dreamed about winning. That is his dad's belt. That's the dream. So Conor Benn's absolute biggest dream, and his profile's never been higher, is to fight him.
And he's in position for this now, isn't he?
So that's done.
Yeah, but he might have a new dream. He might have a better dream. If I'm Conor Benn, I'm probably looking at Garcia though as the one for me, because it's a bigger fight.
The broader story, however, remains about perception. Some see Benn's move as a smart business decision in a sport where careers are short and risks are high. Others view it as a betrayal of loyalty and tradition. The debate continues to divide fans and insiders alike.
I think I'm with Eddie a little bit there. You know, an email to say of what he's gone through with all the situations.
You've got to pack a phone up. Surely you have to pack a phone.
Or go for a coffee or something and have a chat. One-to-one, look each other in the eyes and say, look, Conor, is that because you're getting punched in the face every week? You want to try and earn as much money as you can. I can see what he wants to do. The offer's unbelievable, too good to turn down, but there's ways to do it, isn't there?
Went through a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not just getting
Eddie's always stuck behind him.
100%.
Whether the $15 million deal proves genius or reckless remains to be seen. If Benn delivers blockbuster fights and headlines major events, critics may fall silent. If not, the outrage will grow louder. Either way, the clash between old-school boxing promoters and new power players has only just begun, and the fallout is far from over.
Where you're paying that top dollar to the whole card, I just don't think it's sustainable. That's just my opinion, but I think Ben getting $15 million, it's amazing, but I also think it's a flex on Dana White saying that I can take one of your boxers like that and just pay him more. So there is no loyalty, there is no, and yeah, I mean, I go on, even, Terrence Crawford, he refused to pay the WBC belt fees. He was like, why am I gonna pay these belt fees? Y'all didn't do shit. So I think they both have their pros and cons.
I just think if I'm an active UC fighter, I'm looking at these. I lost the pay-per-view model. I'm looking at these Paramount cards getting weaker and weaker. I'm seeing Dana White less involved on a day-to-day basis, and then I see Conor Benn for Zuffa Boxing, which, let's put it straight, at this moment, no one watches Zuffa Boxing.
And that's the full story behind Conor Benn's shocking move and the $15 million deal that's shaking the boxing world. What do you think? Was Ben smart to leave Eddie Hearn for Dana White, or did he burn bridges he'll regret? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let the debate begin. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to stay updated on all the latest boxing drama. You won't want to miss what happens next.